Holy smokes, everyone. We have just got some huge new news. A huge bombshell report has been released, and this isn't getting advertised much in the mainstream media because I think the central banks don't want you knowing about this. But we did just get news today that central banks are silently buying more gold than they have in 55 years. That's right, I'm sure you've seen the violent rally we've been watching in the gold and silver market, and you've probably been thinking, what's behind it? Yes, the stock market has been rallying and the cryptocurrency markets has been rallying because there's a lot of hopium that the Federal Reserve is going to pivot. But what I think is behind the gold and silver bull run is central banks are buying, and they're buying like they never had before. So why are they buying? What do they see coming? Do they see some very uncertain economic times ahead? Do they see some kind of black swan event? Do they see the geopolitical tensions getting worse? And do they think their fiat currencies are about to be devalued even more when they release their central bank digital currencies? Well, that's exactly what we're going to go over in today's video. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into the news, the facts, and the data. Well, look at this, everyone. This is huge. Gold demand surges to an 11-year high in 2022 on colossal central bank buying. So I think it's quite obvious a main contributor to this rally we've been seeing in gold and silver lately is central banks buying, and we now have got the evidence of this. Well, there's been a lot of speculation they are buying. No, it is a fact that they are buying, but the reason why they're buying may surprise you. Annual gold demand jumped 18% to 4,741 tons, excluding over-the-counter or OTC trading across the year, the largest annual figure since 2011, fueled by fourth quarter demand of 1,337 tons. So that's massive, everyone. Gold demand is up 18%, and this is excluding OTC, over-the-counter trading. Who knows what could be going on with some backdoor deals, some central bankers are sending each other gold or silver. I think there's even more demand than this report is showing. Key to the surge was a 55-year high of 1,136 tons brought by central banks across the year, the industry back group revealed, noting that the majority of these purchases were unreported. That's exactly right, everyone. I don't see the mainstream media talking about it much at all, about how much central banks are buying right now. They're all talking about the stock market, cryptocurrencies, bonds, but the mainstream media doesn't want you to know the real worth of gold and silver, and they don't want you to know that your fiat currency, your US dollar, is worthless. So listen to this. This marked a 152% increase from 2021 when central banks brought just 450 tons of gold, and the World Gold Council attributed the spike to geopolitical uncertainty and high inflation. So okay, we've got two huge reasons why central banks are buying right now. One, high inflation. We all know gold tends to outperform during periods of high inflation. Yes, why it sells off when central banks start lifting interest rates and the US dollar, for example, goes up. That's negative for gold price. But once the Federal Reserve pauses rate hikes or people think they're going to start dropping them and the US dollar drops, or like what we're seeing, the US dollar has dropped around 10%, that is bullish for gold. But besides this, there's also geopolitical tensions. When there's times of uncertainty, when people think there's going to be a recession or they think there's going to be a global conflict, well, people rush to a safe haven asset, and that is gold and silver. Central bank net purchases in Q4 totaled 417 tons, lifting H2 total buying to 864 tons, echoing Q3 data for the final quarter of the year was again a combination of reported purchases and a substantial estimate for unreported buying. Should more information about this unreported activity become available, these estimates may be revised. So that's exactly right, everyone. There is a huge amount of unreported gold and silver sales going on right now. I'm sure, like I was saying before, again, that these central bankers have some backdoor ways to trade amongst each other or to send them gold, silver. We all know that some central banks even lend out their gold, like what Australia's done. Who knows if the Federal Reserve still has their gold or if they've lent it out. We need to get to the bottom of this, and we need to have more reports on what's happening with our gold. Investment demand for gold has increased by 10% to 1,107 tons, while holdings of gold ETF exchange-traded funds saw smaller outflows in 2022 than in previous years. Now, the reason for this is because we saw the stock market crash and we saw cryptocurrency crash. Bitcoin was a huge rival for gold, and a lot of people said that, Bitcoin was a new store of value, but we found out in 2022 it is not a store of value. What it simply is a risk on play. It's a risk on investment. What we're seeing right now is the profitless tech companies, they're now starting to boom because they think interest rates are going to go back down to zero. So Bitcoin goes up along with these high risky tech stocks. But what we found out in 2022, gold was a real store of value and it outperformed every single asset class. Now, the only negative thing I guess you could say for gold right now, which I don't see this too negative at all, jewelry consumption dropped 3% in 2022 to 2,086 tons, with much of weakness concentrated in the fourth quarter as gold prices rallied. And I think it's not just because the price of gold rallied, I think it's because the consumer is being tapped out and people don't have as much money to spend on expensive gold items. On top of this, total annual gold supply inched 2% higher in 2022 to 4,755 tons, with mine production notching a 4-year high of 3,612 tons. So people, this is huge, and if you think central bankers were buying a fair bit of gold in 2022, I think they're going to get even heavier into gold in 2023 because the geopolitical situation is getting worse. We're seeing a lot more confrontations between countries, and once we enter an official recession, people are going to rush to a safe haven asset like gold. But which central bankers specifically were the biggest buyers of gold? Let's have a deeper look. The majority of central banks buying in 2022 came from emerging markets, with the Central Bank of Turkey the largest buyer at a record of 542 tons, followed by China, India, Egypt, Qatar, Iraq, and the UAE. And they all significantly boosted their gold reserves over the year. So people, if these countries are buying record amounts of gold, why do you think they're doing this? What do they know is going to be coming this year in 2023? Well, what I think the reason they could be buying, they know the situation between Russia and Ukraine maybe get worse. Maybe they know there's going to be some black swan event, or maybe they know there's going to be some financial restrictions or some sanctions put on them, like what happened to Russia. And as I'm recording this video right now, we're seeing a big rally for gold and silver. Look at this. So as I'm recording this, gold has hit $1,968, up 1.32%. And silver's having an even better day, up 3.6% to $24.48. So what's some more evidence that we can get to figure out what may happen to the gold and silver markets in 2023? Well, look at this, everyone. Lebanon to devalue currency by 90%, the central bank says. So this is absolutely crazy. Lebanon is devaluing their currency after it's been devalued so much by 90%. Now, while this is an extreme example, this shows you that over time, every single year, your money is becoming worth less and less and less, and why it's so important that you have real money. Gold and silver. Now, what do people keep comparing this time to? They keep comparing it to the high inflationary times of the 70s and 80s. So what exactly happened to the gold price in the 70s and 80s? Well, look at this, everyone. This is a chart of gold going all the way back to 1973. We can see in 1973, gold was roughly around $100 per ounce, but during that time of high inflation, it went on a massive rally all the way over $800. Another great time for gold was after 2001, when the dot-com bubble crashed. People lost a lot of faith in stocks, and so they started putting all their money into a safe haven asset like gold, and it went from around $300 all the way up to $1,900. That is a 6x return. We can see since these two times in history, we haven't had much big rallies, besides gold going from around $1,100 all the way up to around $2,100 from 2012 to 2021. So looking back at history at high inflationary times like we're in today, where gold went up 8 to 6 times, I think we're about to see gold go on a massive rally, and the banks aren't going to be able to suppress the price much longer. So me, what I'm doing, I'm allocating a lot of my cash to gold right now. I already brought a lot, around $1,600 an ounce. But if the Federal Reserve does pivot, we're going to see the US dollar crash. And if we enter into a real recession, we're going to see people leave the stock market, go to a safe haven asset like gold, and we're going to see gold absolutely take off. Especially if the central banks do another record year of buying like they did in 2022. But everyone, this is just my small, humble opinion. I could be wrong. What do you think will happen to the gold price in 2023? Let me know down below. Now, for all my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.